So what is modal verb? If you think in English, like the verbs like would, should, no, can, yeah, shall, will, yeah, all those verbs are modal verbs. So there are German equivalents to that, like almost similar modal verbs you have in German. We're going to learn about that. Moreover, there is one thing which is different than in English, how it is used in German. In English, if you have to say, you'll say, I shall do this, or I can do this. So first you put the subject, then you put the modal verb, and then you put the main verb. Do is the main verb. And then whatever the rest of the information you have to give. But in German, what's the rule? First you put the subject, then you put the modal verb and conjugate it according to the subject. Then you put all the information you have to give, object, predicate, whatever. And in the end, you put the main verb in infinitive form. That's the rule that's followed. Write down here. Then we start with the conjugation, sentences, exercises. So the simple was goes like that. Okay, and modal verb will be conjugated. Beard, like this, infinitive form as it is. So now let's begin by naming those modal verbs, and then we learn the conjugation, and then we learn how to use them. Okay, so let's read it out. Modal Verben, Connen, wollen, müssen, wogen, dürfen, sollen. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Now, here you can see the English equivalent of all these modal verbs. And there is one more which is not mentioned here. Write it in the chat box. It's called mocktail. So we got one more in the list. Means would like. Now you have all the modal verbs here. You can see, we can repeat it one more time. Only the German modal verb, not the English. Können, müssen, sollen, wollen, dürfen, wogen, mochten. So now we move to the next page and we learn how the conjugation is done. The conjugation is quite different. That's why you need to pay special attention to how the verbs are conjugated. Okay. So you can see there's tables, and in this table you have like each verb is conjugated in a row. So let's start reading it out. On top, you have all the modal verbs in infinitive form. That's how we always do. And below, you conjugate them. So we start with first one, dürfen. Please repeat after me. Dürfen. Ich darf. Du darfst. Sie, es darf. Wir dürfen. Ihr dürft. Sie dürfen. Next, Sonnen. Ich kann. Du kannst. Sie, es kann. Wir können. Ihr könnt. Sie können. Next, müssen. Ich muss. Du musst. Sie, es muss. Wir müssen. Ihr müsst. Sie sollen. Ich soll. Du sollst. Sie, es soll. Wir sollen. Ihr sollt. Sie sollen. Wollen. Ich will. Du willst. Sie, es will. Wir wollen. Ihr wollt. Sie wollen. Morgen. Ich mag. Du magst. Sie, es mag. Wir morgen. Ihr mogt. Sie morgen. Now here in the chat box, I have mentioned one more, Mrs. Mockton. So Test is he has walked. Say, so please note down this in the notebook since we don't have here in the list. I'll just read it out one more time. The mockten. Ich mockte. Du mochtest. Sie, es mochte. Wir mochten. Ihr mochtet. Sie mochte. So now we're going to learn how to use them. As I already mentioned you the rule of how does it work. First we'll put the subject, then we'll put the modal verb, and we'll conjugate it according to the subject, then object, and then verb in infinitive form. So let's start with the mochten. Yeah, what we have here. So mochten means would like. Suppose you go to a restaurant and all, there if you are asking for food, then you use this modal. Yeah, you can say, I would like to have a coffee. So you say, ich möchte bitte. Use any other modal verb. For example, you don't say, I want the coffee. Very impolite way of talking. So in you have to use there this modal verb, mochten. Yeah. Or and suppose there is a waiter or waitress in the restaurant and she comes, would you like to have something? So how will she ask you? Be etwas. Yeah? Ich möchte eine Pizza, eine Cola, bitte. Yeah, you can also add bitte, bitte, please. And also in there, if you want to say, I would like to pay now, for that also you use the same verb. Ich möchte bezahlen. Yeah, I would like zahlen is to pay. Okay. So this is one way we ask, in the conversation in restaurant and all. Whatever it's all it's something, yeah. So it's more related to your wish, what you wish to have. No? It gives that meaning. So suppose you want to say somebody is asking you, what would you like to be? So like, was möchtest du werden? Werden means to become. You like to become, or what would you like to be? Like that also we can understand it. So you can say, I would like to be I would like to be um Ingenieur werden. Oder ich möchte Arzt werden. Oder ich möchte Professor werden. Ja, oder ich möchte Dichter werden. Dichter means did. Yeah. So there are two different ways that you can use Brüsten. And now let's move to the next one. Now we go to the list. Dürfen. Yeah, the first in our list is dürfen. So we'll see how to use it. Let's go to previous slide and check the meaning. Dürfen has meaning of may or allowed to. Yeah. So suppose you want to go one very standard line we should learn is how do you say, how do you ask for permission to enter the room? You, in English we say, may I come in? In German, you use this modal verb. You'll say, darf rein. So we are making a question. That's why the modal verb is in the first position. And then you have subject, and rein kommen is come in. And it is separable verb. So when you have separable verb, they will normally we split it while using, but in the case of modal verb, you will put it in the end and together. Okay. So dartfish reinkommen. Foolish. One second. Okay. So in response, somebody can say, okay, come inside. Kommen Sie rein. Yeah. To enter in somebody's. Yeah. Kommen Sie rein. Yeah. It's imperative sentence. So this is one thing. So may I come in? Yes, come in. Suppose you want to sit on a table and somebody is already sitting and there is an empty chair and then you can ask, may I sit here? So how do you, there also you use modal verb. Yeah. You don't say can I sit here? We say, may I sit here? Ich hier sitzen. May I sit here? Or suppose somebody has, um, yeah, so this is may. So in that context we say, and then you have here allowed. So there are many different contexts when we say like where something is allowed to do or where something is not allowed to do. So in that context also we use do then. For example, you can say, we are not allowed to smoke on campus. So how do we say that? We um we are not allowed to smoke on campus. Wir dürfen nicht am Campus rauchen. So you see, here we have subject, then you have modal verb, and you conjugate it, then the rest of the information. Like here it's about the place, negation, and in the end is rauchen is the main verb. So it goes in the end. And I will give you another variation of saying the same thing. In the place of beer, we can also say one. No, one is not allowed to smoke on campus. If you read, it's called man. Man is used as third person singular. Like the way you conjugate a verb for he, she, it, same way you conjugate it also for man. So man, um, rau, So one. But this one is only used as a pronoun. No, you cannot use it to quantify anything. So remember, it has a very special use. One should not do this, one cannot do this, one cannot just go anywhere. No. So wherever you make sentences like that, you use in German man for that. Okay. So and this is dürfen. Or suppose there are places where you cannot, one cannot park the vehicle. So one day there also the same verb is used. Should be written. Nicht parken. One is not allowed to park here. Like that. Suppose you want to go for a movie and you ask your parents for permission. So and they say, okay, you may go. So you use the same modal verb. He may go to movie today. He is allowed to go to movie today. Kino can. Yeah. So this is Durfin. Now let's move to the next one, which is Sonnen. Sonnen. Let's come back. You can see Conan means can or be able to. Yeah. Like, for example, you cannot, if you want to say, I cannot visit you today. How do you say that? Yeah. Conan. Ich kann dich heute so I so in the sense of can, yeah. I cannot come to the party today. How do we say that? Zur Party nicht. So can. Now, if you want to talk about your ability to do something, then also we use this verb. But this means I can speak German. Yeah. You can be more precise also. You can say ich kann ich lesen. Und schreiben. I can read and write in German. Ja, ich kann auf Deutsch lesen und schreiben. Ich kann, er kann spielen. In guitar, very good. Yeah. Sie kann sehr gut singen. Yes, very well. So you see, that's how it works. Let's move to the next one. Next we have müssen. To check the meaning, müssen is must or have to. So how do we say, but where it's something which is very, very like you must do it. Yeah. So maybe you watched a film, you really liked it, and you want to recommend your friend to watch it. You can say you must watch this film. So how do you say that? Yeah. See here, all the time you have to follow this table. I remember it, so I'll just say, but in the beginning, you should always check. The most season. Season means this. Season film. They must watch this film. Okay, for example. So whatever you think is must, like in English you use, in German you say, uh, listen for that. Then you have next one is Sonnen. The meaning of Sonnen? Should or supposed to. No? So anything where for example, you are supposed to water the plants. How do you say that? Where you say, or you should water the plants and the meaning. You are supposed to. Dogs, die Pflanzen, gießen. Gießen means to water. Dogs, die Pflanzen, gießen. We must take care of our we okay. So wherever you think no, it's a duty. It's duty bond. There we use all. Okay. We should prepare for the exam. For exam. So we think for die Prüfung studieren. Or vorbereiten. Vorbereiten means to prepare. So vorbereiten is actually a modal, sorry, separable verb. And as I told you, you have to put it together. You don't separate it. Modal verb. So wir sollen für die Prüfung vorbereiten. So this is sollen. Let's move to the next one, which is wollen. So what happens in wollen? Want. No? So wherever you want to say want, um, like I want to eat cake today. Like it's very strong. It's like um, it's something that probably you will go and buy a cake and eat. Yeah, so it's something very strong in you. In heute Kuchen. And Kuchen is it? I want to eat a cake today. Will bitte gar nicht studieren. I do not want to, I do not at all want to study today. Yeah. Will heute gar nicht studieren. Okay. So that's how we use this. The next. Now we have one more last, which is morgen. So morgen means like. No, you like something. For that we use morgen. Okay. So, for example, if you want to say I like you, how do you say? Say, ich mag. Ich mag dich. No? Informal. Suppose you want to talk in formally, then say ich mag sie. You remember, that's how it works. Okay. So I like the movie. There also I will say same thing. Ich mag den Film. Ich mag das Buch. Ich mag die Stadt. No? So to like. So this is how it works. Now we go to the next. And we'll do quickly little bit some of this exercise, and then we'll also do the exercise on the next page. Let's okay. So this exercise will help you to memorize or understand the conjugation part more. But we have to do modal verb in present eins. So at the end of every sentence, modal verb is given. And what you have to do, you have to conjugate and in the present tense, like we are only learning present tense now. So we have to conjugate it that way and put it in the sentence. So for example, first sentence, du heute früher nach. We have to use the verb dürfen. So what is the subject here? As you know, according to the subject, we have to conjugate the modal verb. So what's the subject in the first sentence? Anybody? What's the subject? Yes. Will somebody tell? The subject is do, right? So we have to conjugate the verb dürfen for do. So go back. If you don't remember, you have to go back here. So how is dürfen conjugated for do? Second one, darfst. So here we are going to put du darfst heute früher nach Hause. And this means you are allowed to go home earlier today. Yeah. Du darfst heute früher nach Hause. So, first one. Now let's move to the next. Ich keinen Spinat essen. Yeah. Here the verb is modal verb that will be used is mogen. So how do we say? According to ich, we have to conjugate, right? So what will you do here? Back again. Mögen. For the first one, it is ich mag. So you put ich mag keinen Spinat essen. I don't like to eat spinach. Yeah, spinat is spinach. So the same way you have to keep on doing. I just gave you two examples. You look at the table and you conjugate and put it here. Okay? So this is something which for your practice, I would recommend you to do it and by yourself. Let's move to this. This we will try to do together. In this exercise, what is it? You have all the modal verbs up. You have to choose the right modal verb and then conjugate it according to the subject in the sentence. So first one is already here done. Können Sie mir helfen? Can you help me? Yeah, so in here the modal verb is können. Now let's move to the second one. Ich, morgen, nach, Hamburg, fahren. So what do we do for this? Can somebody think of a modal verb which can be used here? I'm waiting. Anybody? What modal verb we are going to use here? Ich, morgen, nach, Hamburg, fahren. Maybe we can say müssen. I must travel to Hamburg tomorrow. So, ich muss morgen nach Hamburg fahren. Next one. Du mir sagen, wie spät ist es? What do you think? What will you say here? Like third one. Anybody? What modal verb should go there?
Conan,
Sorry, yes, Anish?
Conan,
Yes. So, how do we conjugate Conan? We'll look at the table. For do,
ish,
what form?
can't,
Yeah,
अच्छा, do can't,
can't, right? So, what do we put here? Kannst du mir sagen, wie spät es ist? Can you tell me what's the time? Okay, let's move to number 4. Ihr morgen leider nicht kommen. What can we say for this one? Again, you can use the same modal verb. Unfortunately, he cannot come tomorrow. So, er kann morgen leider nicht kommen. Yeah, so Colin. Let's move to number 5. Wir lieber eine Portion Salat. So it's about asking for food, and as I told you, in this context, we'll use mochten. So wir mochten lieber eine Portion Salat. So we would like to have a portion of salad. Okay. Then next one, Petra sehr gut Englisch sprechen. What will we say here? Very simple. Tell me what verb we use. Again on it, right? So Petra kann sehr gut Englisch sprechen. Petra can speak very good English. Then number 7, gib mir die Zeitung. Give me the newspaper. Ich sie auch lesen. I want to read it too. We can say that. This context, somebody is really asking for it. So what will we say? Ich will sie auch lesen. Or I would like to read it too. Ich möchte sie auch lesen. Both can go here. Okay. So sie in this sentence is used for die Zeitung. For that. Yeah, it's feminine. That's why you have here sie. Okay. Number 8. Ihr mich mit in die Stadt nehmen. Here also Conan. Konnt ihr mich mit in die Stadt nehmen? Can you please take me along in the city? Number 9. Peter heute früher nach Hause gehen. So, as you can see, previous first sentence is very similar to this. Du heute früher nach Hause. So here also. Peter darf heute früher nach Hause gehen. Peter is allowed to go home earlier today. Number 10. Ich morgen bei dir übernachten. Suppose you are talking to your friend and you are asking if you can stay at his place tomorrow. So here, in that case, you have to use dürfen. May I stay at your place tomorrow? Yeah, übernachten. Spend the night, something like that. Übernachten means. So, darf ich morgen bei dir übernachten? Number 11. Wir Sie herzlich zu unserer Party einladen. What will we say here? Tell me. This one is simpler. Wir mochten, no? Wir mochten Sie herzlich zu unserer Party einladen. We would like to invite you heartily to our party. So we use here mochten. Okay, next one. Sie mir das noch einmal erklären. Erklären means to explain. Can you please explain me? Can you please explain me one more time? No, können Sie mir das? Can you please explain it? Das means here it. One more. Noch einmal means once more. So, können. The last 13. Do lieber fish or the flies? Möchtest du lieber fish or the flies? You like would you prefer fish or meat? Then number 14. Das Baby noch nicht sprechen? So, das Baby kann noch nicht sprechen. The baby cannot speak yet. 50. Sie nicht verstehen. Verstehen means to understand. So, wir können Sie nicht verstehen. We cannot understand you. Last, ihr machen, was ihr wollt. You can make what you want. No, last part of the sentence is what you want. So, in the beginning, we can say you can do what you want. Ihr könnt machen, was ihr wollt. Okay. So same way you have to think logically and make use of modal verb accordingly. And so that's all for now. We'll have extra class today in the evening, 7 to 8. So please join that